Scentland, the land of scent. Hello and welcome everybody, Chris here. And this time I would like to say a few words in regards to the passing of one of my all-time heroes, idols and icons, Karl Lagerfeld, who in my opinion was one of the, if not the greatest creative mind and personality of the past 100 years. He lived 85, and not only did he did tremendous professional work and did leave behind a tremendous professional legacy with the houses of his own Karl Lagerfeld brand or Lagerfeld brand, Chanel and Fendi and Chloe, but also even though he was coming across as a kind of a sometimes a bit cold or distant person, he left, at least in my case, I can speak for myself only, a great emotional mark as well, because when I lost my father when I was very young, I went on to pick some new father figures, if you wish, or if you will. And actually Karl Lagerfeld was one of them, believe it or not. Seen him first time on television in when we got this satellite TV on sometime, I think in 1990 it was, and I was actually 18 at the time already, so quite late for me picking a father figure, right? But his incredible presence with the ponytail and all that made a huge impact somehow. It was coming across very strongly. And obviously that was around the time when I was getting involved with fragrances as well, so I picked up the Lagerfeld fragrances of the time Photo, which I have on here, which is, when I smell this fragrance, is like you know, a different day and age becoming alive again. And afterwards I was kind of following the path of Karl Lagerfeld, what he was doing, but in fashion, as an all over the place personality, and as a human being, and as a creator of fragrances, obviously. What I learned in this process was that he was an incredibly sharp, well-spoken, professional, determined human being who had tremendous energy and vision and feelings for the future, for the trends that he will set, and he was setting all the time, even when he was well above 80. He was, up until yesterday, he was a tremendous trendsetter, and incredibly well read. He had hundreds of thousands of books that he not only owned but read as well. Okay, I've seen dozens and dozens of interviews with him. I've never met him in person, unfortunately, or luckily, because I don't think that I could have engaged into a conversation with Karl in a satisfying manner, because he was just in a very sharp way above, a level above everybody. I remember him in these talk shows, and mostly in German TV. But he did obviously speak many languages. He spoke French, he spoke Italian, he spoke German, he spoke English, of course. And in one of his interviews, he said that he's regularly approached by German people, just on the street or wherever, and they coming to him and saying that, yeah, Mr. Lagerfeld, I'm German, and he says, well, there's 80 million of them, so what do you want, I'm German too, or similar stories like that, and some people find that maybe offending. He wasn't kind enough, but I think that's just he was just cocky in a way, kind of maybe cold, distant, probably that's the better word, distant in a way. But if you're at that level where he was mentally and professionally, then you have to have a certain distance to the surroundings that are constantly licking up to you. Otherwise you will lose your mind and fall into a trap thinking that you're God. And he never thought that. He always remained the person coming from Hamburg, coming from that wealthy family, knowing what he wants, knowing that he's different, knowing that he has the ability to prevail and to create something outstanding and worthwhile and standing the test of time, which he totally did, both for Fendi, Chanel, Chloe, and obviously his own brand, Karl Lagerfeld. And to me, this was a father figure that somehow was very well chosen, I have to say. A father figure that, I could listen to and learn from words spoken, from wisdom being spread. Even if Karl Lagerfeld, good old Karl, was sometimes a little bit over the edge with his statements. But come on, who is perfect? Who said that Karl Lagerfeld has to be perfect in his opinions and his statements? Nobody. And so I just genuinely liked everything that Karl, almost everything that Karl did. But I liked him somehow. I felt some, I don't know, closeness as a person. I could somehow relate, even though it seems weird because we're talking about different worlds, right? Somehow still, maybe it's the German language as well, or that time when he was coming from, and I could relate to that. I don't know. But something was just pulling me to this mind of Karl Lagerfeld like a magnet. I'm deeply saddened to hear that he's passed, because I look out of the window and it's sunny and kind of springtime today, kind of warm as well, but it's a day, it's a world without Karl Lagerfeld, and it's a huge loss. Trust me, in this world where there's so many fake people, pretentious people, and greediness and all that shit out there, something and somebody as genuine as Karl Lagerfeld will be deeply, deeply missed. So one story that that comes to my mind when I told you about the interviews on German TV. There was one story that I liked the most. He was growing up, obviously, before the war, during the war, and post-war Germany. Okay, and he was obviously was gay, and he was different. He dressed different. He came from a wealthy family, and he had this weird hairdo. You know, everybody in Germany had this military look about them, even after the war. Even in the 50s, they had this, you know, military type of hair. Now, Karl did not. Karl had this huge hairdo with his, you know, he had this black hair, and you know, loads of it. So he had this very strict mother that he adored to no end. I don't know. And they were walking on the street in Hamburg one day when Karl was a kid still. And while walking on the street, they met one of Karl's teachers, who addressed Karl's mother. They were walking, stopping, you know, meeting in the street, and he addressed Karl's mother, saying that, "Oh, young Karl, well, we could talk about his performance in the school someday, but up until then, dear mother of Karl, would you not consider to cut Karl's hair?" And Karl's very strict mother grabbed the tie of that teacher, grabbed it like this, slammed it in his face, and said, "Sind Sie noch ein Nazi? Are you still a Nazi?" That's post-World War II Germany. Okay, when Karl is walking with that hairdo, this teacher comes up, suggests to have Karl's long hair cut, and his mother, who was very strict to Karl, but very straightforward as well at the same time, grabs the tie of this very teacher gentleman, slams it in his face and says, "Are you still a Nazi? Sind Sie noch ein Nazi? Oder sind Sie immer noch ein Nazi?" By far my favorite story involving and told by Karl der König. So thank you very much for watching, and actually that's a Johnny Versace tie. So Karl and Johnny are now reunited in wherever they are. So have fun, have creative thoughts, and somehow think of us who are down here in this world that's getting crazier and crazier and weirder and weirder, and smaller and smaller due to the loss of great people like you, Karl. Du wirst uns allen sehr fehlen. Du warst ein Meilenstein in der Geschichte der Menschheit, ohne zu übertreiben. Und mir persönlich, das kannst du dir denken, Karl, du fehlst uns. Du wirst uns fehlen, du fehlst uns jetzt schon. But always a smile at the end, right? Bye.